Today we're going to make an almond pound cake that is tender and moist and perfectly dense in the way a pound cake should be, but it like still kind of melts in your mouth. And the cake is flavored with almond extract and a bit of almond flour or almond meal for that really beautiful, just dynamic flavor. Oh, this cake is phenomenal when it's just dusted with powdered sugar or covered with the almond glaze I have here. It is just, it's my favorite. Don't tell the others. Yeah. If you're enjoying this video, be sure to hit the subscribe button below and click the bell icon to be notified every time I post a new and delicious recipe. Let's get into it. Almond cake. It's my lifeblood. Just kidding, that was a lot. All right, so we can start anywhere, but I think we should start with flouring our pan because, you know, I like to have that done out of the way. So go ahead and grab yourself your favorite bundt pan. I'm gonna use a Magnolia one. You wanna give a nice light spray, but you do want it to be, you know, comprehensive. So, because, you know, especially with molds like this, like what? Those are some... Okay. All right. Might be a little Okay. Might be a little generous in some places, but honestly, there's such deep crevices in there, a little stressed. Get yourself some flour. Just, you know, you're gonna kind of spread it in there. Try and get it along that center kind of pedestal. Okay, great. Now, we're gonna go ahead and tap, 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 per usual. And then I'm definitely gonna go back around the other direction because there's just such intricate kind of deep spaces. I wanna make sure that I get all of those. We are gonna whisk together our dry ingredients. I've got myself some mealy flour here. I have almond flour, yum, baking soda, and salt. Boom. Just a little whisk. It's not that serious, but you kind of want to distribute some of those, you know, the salt and the baking soda, and maybe get out a few lumps of the almond flour if your flour is a little lumpy. Sweet. Set that aside. Next step, we are going to go ahead and take our mixer. Ooh. We're gonna put our butter in here. My butter is she softened? She is. It's warm in here. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and take our perfectly softened butter. It's, you know, kind of a little cold to the touch, but still pliable and malleable, which is exactly what we want for this recipe because we want a nice, thick, dense pound cake. We're gonna pop this in the bowl of our stand mixer. Come to me. All right, go ahead, put this on, and we're gonna give it a twirl about, just to make sure that it's evenly temped. No chances here. If your butter's not temped, hit it with a low torch, just a little bit to kind of loosen it up. All right, nice. Scrape it down. Now, we are going to add our sugar. It's a lot of sugar. It's a pound cake. Get it in there. This is part of what allows for that crispy outside and the nice, dense, tender inside is the sugar. Now, just like my other pound cakes, we want this to kind of come together into a paste, and then we're going to stop creaming. We don't want it to be light and fluffy like, you know, white cake or anything like that. We want it to be like kind of a thicker paste. There she is. She's come into a paste, and we are ready to slow it down and start adding our eggs. All right, let's go ahead and beat that in there really nicely. So unlike the sugar creaming, we do really want to incorporate our eggs. Just going to give it a scrape. Nice, sink that in, super silky smooth. And then we're gonna add our almond extract. Yum. My favorite thing on earth. Get it in there. Smells so good. Alrighty. And then we are gonna alternately add our dry ingredients and our sour cream. So we do not want to wait between additions. Once you start adding your flour and hydrating it, you don't want to dilly-dally. Now I am going to do the last bit of sour cream. I'm going to stop my mixer, make sure that it doesn't overmix while I'm scraping every last bit out. Check. And then we're going to go ahead and turn that back on. Add a little bit more flour. And then we are going to continue alternating, and we're going to do Brandy. Yes, that's what's up. You could use bourbon, you can use whatever liquor you'd like. But Brandy is just, it's such a beautiful, kind of floral, almost sweet flavor. Okay. Everybody in. And now I'm going to finish mixing it by hand. And then we're going to give that a nice little fold. Make sure that we got all the sugar, butter, all that situation off the bottom. Really nicely incorporated all the last bit of flour. Actually beautifully incorporated. Now, take a prepared pan, and then we're gonna just kind of plop this in there. Especially with these kind of detailed molds, I like to make sure that I place my batter in there all around. Oh my goodness, okay. Grab yourself a spoon. As I've learned, this is the easiest way to spread your batter in these pans. Go ahead and just kind of rotate about. All right, I have preheated my oven to 325 convection. If you do not have convection, just leave it at 325, and you might get a little bit more browning on top. I'm gonna pop this in. It's probably gonna bake close to an hour, maybe an hour 15, because she is a thick. She's out. Baked about an hour and 5 minutes until, it kind of puffed, you could feel it, it was set, and then I pop a cake tester in and pull it out, and it has a few clean crumbs, or it's clean. Now it has to cool about 20 minutes, and then I'm going to flip it out of the pan. This particular batter, this cake, comes out really nicely after about 20. So I'm going to go ahead and let her chill, and then we'll pop her out. It's been 20 minutes. And I am ready to bust this guy out of her mold, but first we're going to just kind of make sure that she's a little free on the sides and particularly in the center. So bundt pans love to do a little stickage in the center, so we're just gonna kind of make sure that everything is good over there, and then we're just going to kind of run our offset down. You want to be careful not to scratch your pan. The next time you make it, you're going to have a situation. And pop her over. Boop. It's the best noise ever. Ta-da! Right. So, here we have her. She is gorgeous. Looks like we didn't get a little batter right there, and that's the situation that occurred right there, but no worries. A little glaze can fix that right up. So now we have to let her cool completely. So it's going to take, probably close to an hour to 2, especially since my room's a little warm. So let her cool. All right, our cake is completely cooled, and I've placed it on like a little kind of cooling rack, but also to let the glaze drip off. You could of course dust this with powdered sugar and be done with it, but we're going to make a little almond glaze. So I've got confectioner sugar in my bowl, and then I'm going to pour a bit of almond extract in. It was about 1/8 of a teaspoon, and then a little bit of milk at a time. You want it to be, loose enough to pour, but not so loose that it doesn't, kind of coat. So you just want to do a little bit at a time. But if you add too much, no big deal. Just go ahead and add a little bit more confectioner sugar. and everything will be fine. So you see how that runs really nicely from the whisk, and then it sits on top just a moment before going back into itself. So that is a lovely pouring consistency for this. I'm just going to taste it, make sure I like the almond. I want just a little bit more almond, so I'm going to add a little bit more almond. You could, of course, a nice lemon glaze would be really delightful here as well, or any fruit. I'll link to some options down in the description. So many. I'm going to pour from this bowl, but you could certainly do it from a glass, like a Pyrex, like measuring cup or something like that. It's like a little like weird of a mold, to be honest, to like glaze, but I'm just going to try and kind of hit the peaks and then go back around. And if you do find that your glaze isn't running nicely enough, you can of course just stop and add a little bit more milk. Okay. Voila. We're done. Isn't that easy? Alright, now we are going to let the glaze set for just a moment. It's just confectioner sugar and a little milk, so it's going to set pretty fast, which is great. And then it's time to try. Oh, I'm so excited. I can't. It's time to try. I'm so excited. This is one of my favorite cakes of all time. Fun fact. Alright, we're going to just dive right in. Our glaze has nicely set. It's not like 100% set, but good enough. Oh, yum. You see that? The tender, moist, perfectly dense pound cake with that beautiful almond flavor from both the almond extract and also the almond meal. So it has like that nice like nutty taste, and the texture is just so soft and tender and just, oh, it's epically delicious. I said it. I meant it. And like the bottom bit that used to be the top, it's like crunchy and like caramelized. Best part right there.